Well, welcome to How to Be a Texan. How are you guys doing today? What's going on over there, Kevin and Andrew?
Woohoo! Doing good. Doing good. Come on, Andrew.
Andrew, how's that energy level? Is it super high?
Energy is really high.
Yeah. Hey, baby, it's a 4th of July weekend, man. We got to amp it up for what? For America.
America.
That's right, America. Hey, happy 4th, guys. This is fantastic. It's great to be an American, right?
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I think it's pretty good. You know what? I thought
I'm adjusting a little bit to this remote setup here. I'm kind of still adjusting. I think it's good, though. I think it works great.
You know, we survived through the pandemic. I figure we can survive through remote things. You know? It's contactless. That way we don't spread germs to one another, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Are you starting to see things open up more in your industry, Kyle?
No.
No?
I'll be honest with you. I'll say yes. So in healthcare, yes, things are opening up, but the level of, hey, we still have to be very careful around the Delta variant and all that. You have to be very careful about that. So, you know, COVID's going to be with us, and the after effects are still going to be with us for a while. But yeah, the volumes are picking back up like people would hope, but the caution and the infection control parameters and all that, everybody's still got to have all that junk. So
yeah.
Thank goodness for immunizations. Boy, isn't that the big debate, though? It's like, hey, I'll give you a free pass anywhere you want to go if you have your, quote, immunization card. And then if you're an anti-vaxxer, boy, it's like you're, a leper, literally.
Right.
So,
right,
yeah.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
not
weird,
really,
man.
Yeah, I didn't mean to.
But, I think where I work, things are opening back up, but a lot of our customers aren't necessarily, and people are trying to figure out, how far will it swing back to the way it was. I don't think it'll ever be back to the way it was.
Oh, no.
But I think we'll find some equilibrium at some point. But, yeah, that's the debate right now is how much, will things open and what will the policies be? I think, Google just made some announcements around their headquarters, and, they want people in the office a couple days a week, something like that. So that's controversial, just mandating any time in the office right now.
That's right.
So it's still a big question mark.
Well, it's a huge one. So business travel and then this remote workforce, those are two outstanding questions of, hey, should I travel again to go see my clients or go to our corporate office or whatever? Or now I've got all these millennials that work with me and they do not want to come back in the office. So it's a dilemma. But hey, that's neither here nor there to today's topic. So, Kevin, let's talk about this. So when you go to Texas or when you live in Texas, we're all millionaires, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, if you're over the age of 30, you got till 30 to kind of get your first million. But
yeah, and then after
so
that,
I think a few people under the age of 30 are still trying to get there.
A few people don't have all that wealth yet. Yeah.
The other thing too is you have to drive a ginormous Cadillac, like a 1985 Cadillac with
a coupe,
Texas
Coupe
Longhorn. Yeah, Coupe de Ville convertible. Has to be white, and you got to have Texas Longhorn horns on the hood.
Yeah.
So
of course.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. So anyway, so today I thought, Kevin, we'd kind of argue over a myth, and this is one of these myths in my mind that outside personas outside of Texas think that if you're a Texan, you're either a millionaire or a billionaire. And I'm thinking of, you remember the Beverly Hillbillies? You remember them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Clampetts? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so they weren't Texans. They ended up moving out to Hollywood, I think. But that's kind of the perception, is that the Ewings, on the Dallas show, and, you just have all these oil barons and and perception that everybody in Texas ought to be a millionaire or even a billionaire. Well, hey, we got Elon Musk now. He's a Texan. Isn't that great? He's a
Yeah.
billionaire. So anyway,
we've had our fair share. We talked about Perot.
Right.
He was early on to the billionaire game, right?
No, that's right. Well, we've got a bunch. When you think of the billionaires, we've got a bunch of them here in the state. But I just wanted to talk about that myth of overall wealth in the state and the perception that everybody's rich in Texas. And,
it's just total myth, and I think it's just one of those things where, and I don't know why. I guess growing up here, I don't know why, but people outside of Texas tend to, take these attributes and just blow it out of proportion, no matter what it is, right? So,
right.
On one hand, they'll think everybody's rich. On the other hand, they think everybody's riding a horse and herding cows all day,
Yeah.
And people will believe that at the same time. It's kind of funny.
That's right.
And I think it's just because, people perceive things in Texas just as be, bigger than, just bigger than life or bigger than reality. I don't know why it's like that.
Well, I don't either. But if you're listening, I do want to bust that myth that yes, there are some incredibly wealthy people in the state of Texas, but so are they in New York and North Carolina and Washington and California, etc. So
every state, really.
Every state has some, and so I did just pull a table. It's actually quite interesting, and what I did is I just said, how many billionaires are there, like top states going all the way down? And you have to get to the fourth state before you get to Texas as far as the number of active billionaires in that state. Do you know what the number? Andrew, you answer first. This will be a point off for the first three. So tell me, Andrew, the first state with the most billionaires in it.
First state with the most billionaires. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Like the ranking. You're asking the ranking of the states, right?
It's not
Which
Delaware.
State has,
yeah,
which
has
state
the most.
has the most?
Who has the most billionaires in it?
I would say California.
You're right. So California is the most. Okay, so then
I was
what's your
say
guess?
New York.
Okay, you're right. Okay, each of you now get a point. So Andrew's number 2. New York is number 2. What do you think is number 3 ahead of Texas? And this was a little surprising. I figured Texas would be 2 or 3.
Georgia?
Florida. Isn't
Florida.
that crazy?
Man, I almost said Florida.
Yeah,
I figured it had to. I figured it had to be someplace in the South. All that old plantation money or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and so I really don't understand this table, but anyway, it says I'm not even going to try to interpret it. But anyway, there's California by far. It's kind of way up there, and then New York, and then drop way down, and then Florida, and then Texas, and then Illinois, Connecticut, Massachusetts. Kind of filled the list out.
Now,
so.
I can't see the table. So is this just total numbers, or is this like per capita?
It's very confusing, and so that's why I didn't really want to read it. It's like the number of billionaire residents, and then it talks about kind of their cumulative worth. And so the Californians, it's close to. So if you've got in September 15th of 2020, there were 160 billionaires. Their cumulative wealth was around 984 billion. But I think you have to take like Elon Musk out of that and put it over to, so now you've got Musk from California to Texas, and you got to swap that around because that just happened. And then Texas has 60, and then we've got almost $300 billion cumulative wealth amongst those 60 billionaires. So
300 billion?
300 billion. So it's basically a 3x in California. Isn't that crazy? With that 8.
So the rankings are based on the cumulative wealth.
The number of residents and then their cumulative wealth. So 160 billionaires in California, worth close to $1 trillion, and then in Texas you've got 60 worth close to 300 billion. So you've got a 3x of Texas to California, which is
we need to
shocking.
step it up here, don't we?
Well, I think that's why we're seeing some of them move this way, because of that 10%. Basically, they're pulling 10% of their, all their income to state income tax and all that. So anyway, we'll probably get some more.
Interesting.
But anyway, so one thing that I wanted to do is just kind of bust the myth a little bit. And so when you think of Texas, and we really are kind of in the middle as far as overall income, and we have over 6% of the population. So if you got 26 million people in the state, 6% of those, really 6.14%, count as millionaires. So they have investable income of $1 million over. 6% seems really, really high. But I don't know what the number is. 6% of 26 million. That's a lot of, quote, millionaires living in the state. The sad part of it is you look at the other end of that, and there's well over 20% of the population at or below the national poverty line. And so the national poverty line is around, hold on, I had that. I think it was like $24,238 for one person. So if you make that, that's the federal poverty line, and then $32,114 for a family of two, and then $37,502 for a family of three or more. So anyway, so the poverty line is there, and so we've got at least 20% of our population at or below that, and that's times, again, 26 million people.
I was reading an article today. This is from the Dallas Business Journal. This is from March of this year, so it's recent. And he was talking about how basically he was comparing San Francisco to Dallas.
Okay.
Cost of living. He talked about taxes, all that kind of other stuff. But from a cost of living perspective, I'll just read you what he says at the end. Looking at Dallas in particular compared to California, if you look at simple cost of living analysis, you'll see that if you make $1 million in San Francisco, you'll only have to make $350,000 in Dallas.
Oh, my gosh.
The big thing behind that is the median home cost. The average home in San Francisco is $1.4 million.
Oh, my gosh.
So even though there's, like you say, there's a lot of, huge percentage of millionaires in Texas, right? But even, if you're making 350 grand, you're basically equivalent lifestyle to a million, a person that's making $1 million a year in San Francisco.
Holy cow.
So, the cost of living is a huge, huge factor. Kind of his thesis was, the taxes are one thing, but really the cost of living is the big factor.
Yeah.
Because he's like, most states will get the tax revenue either way. It's just a different mix of whatever.
Right.
But anyway, I found that fascinating. I really had not seen that number before, so it was kind of crazy.
Well,
so $1 million goes a lot farther in Texas than it does definitely, in San Francisco. Anyway.
No, that's right. But I guess going back to the myth that the perception is that there are so many rich people in Texas. If you have 650,000 millionaires in the state, well, that is a lot. And then if you've got 60 plus billionaires, well, that's a lot. But then again, you go over to the other side of that, and it's kind of the haves and have-nots. If you've got at least 20% of your population of 26 million, so that's well over 5.2 million people that live at or below the poverty line, and that's probably not counting all the undocumented that we have here. And I think I've seen estimates that we've got at least 9 million undocumented, really illegal aliens here in the state of Texas, which, is shocking. So then you add that on top of the 5.2 million at or below the poverty line, and that tells you we have a tremendous amount of people that are living, obviously in what could be considered poverty. And then you take the 20% all the way up to the 94%, and that's kind of your, quote, middle class, just your working Texans. and that's the huge bulk of what guys like you and me. We just we go to work every day and we try to make a good living, and I wouldn't call blue collar, but I guess we're white collar. But there are plenty of blue collar and white collar, just kind of middle of the pack folks that are just making a living. So
Professional
That's right.
managerial class.
yeah, there you go. So anyway, so I just
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to-
that makes sense. I mean, even if you look at our community, this was eye opening to me when Kendra started working in the school district. You think of Argyle as being one of the nicer areas in the Metroplex, which it is, but there's also a lot of poverty here too.
oh, there is.
There's
There
a lot
is.
of poverty, and there's
Yeah.
that big chunk of the middle as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think you go anywhere across Texas, and you're going to see, you'll have areas like, that are super uber wealthy in Dallas and in Houston and other areas. But I think anywhere you go, you're going to be able to quickly access kind of all the classes very, very quickly as far as kind of, the economies of scale on how much people are worth or how much they make.
One of the other myths is that, everybody in Dallas is rich and everybody else in the rest of the state is poor, and
Yeah.
Houston's a blue collar town and Austin's a hippie town.
Right.
Those are, I think all of that is myth also.
Oh, no,
in
I do
my
too.
opinion.
I do too. We covered that on the Dallas and Houston episode about the perception of, what really skyrocketed Dallas's perception was, the Super Bowl wins by the Dallas Cowboys and the show Dallas, as, it was this millionaire family Ewings, that were just trampling on each other. But that gave Dallas the perception of this wealthy, oil barren place. And yeah, like you said, Houston, with all the refineries down there, we talked about the perception there is the guy, Dave, with his name on his shirt, and he's out working in the oil yards. And yes, Austin's got a weird persona, and so does San Antonio. So, and then El Paso, you think it's like in a totally different country.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I don't know if people still have that perception of Texas, but certainly now the perception of Texas in my mind is very, very positive. And there was this article that I found in Forbes that said six reasons why the Texas economy trumps all others. And when you look at it, it's just very quickly. One is that we're a kind of a manufacturing, bull. I mean, we do a lot of manufacturing in Texas. Two, we have a tremendous export market where we export far more than we import. We're one of the fastest income growths in the U.S. as far as just the state's economy. Fourth is we're a global oil superpower amongst ourselves, which is pretty amazing. Fifth reason is everyone wants to move to Texas, and then sixth, everybody wants a home in Texas, and that's very apparent now with what I call the housing crisis. It's great if you're a seller, but if you're a buyer right now, it's terrible because we've had this huge uptick in people that want to be here. So
Yeah.
anywho, yeah.
So you make a statement, everybody wants to move to Texas. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the job market has been really good. Going back to that state income tax, we just don't have it. So it's just very attractive. You can say it's a temperate climate. It's freaking hot in the summer. But overall, it's generally temperate. It's not nearly as nice as San Diego or some other spots, but it is temperate.
Not even close.
You know you're not going to get 12 feet of snow. And most people can survive 100-degree days when we get those in August. So I would say it's temperate. And, we've got a decent education system. We've got a very open employment model, certainly an open entrepreneurial model, so that if you want to start your own business here, you're good to go. And you're not going to be punished for that from a financial perspective, from a tax perspective. So I would say it's very pro-business, pro-family. But again, you're just not going to have all the fun mountains to look at or oceans to look at other than along the coast. And we've all seen that the Houston shipping channel is not terribly attractive to look at. So
yeah, it's pretty nasty down there.
it's pretty nasty. Yeah. So anyway,
yeah,
so
no, I think Texas has done a good job of being business friendly. We've seen a lot of companies moving headquarters here, or building big offices here.
Right.
Apple built a huge facility down in Austin. It's not their headquarters, but it's huge. So I think Dallas has done a good job of, both headquarter relocation, but as well as, pitching to some of these other large, I'm in the tech industry, so that's what I notice the most, but some of these other large tech companies to, build an office down here. And that drags a lot of people. They hire from the local communities too, but a lot of times people are relocating, from California and other places if they work at those companies, and that's great for them.
No, that's right. We saw a lot of that with Toyota when they relocated their U.S. headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a tremendous amount of, thousands of people moving into Frisco and the Frisco area, just north of Dallas, to be close to their their world or the U.S. headquarters. And we've had tons and tons of those headquarter changes. Now we've lost some too. We've lost plenty to Chicago and say Seattle, but there's a ton that we've gotten here, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so have we thoroughly debunked the myth that everybody's a millionaire in Texas? I
think so. Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a lot of stats in here, but I don't know. If you say 6%, that's not 100%, but 6.14% apparently of our population are millionaires. So good for them. Congratulations. And maybe I can be one of those one day. So.
Well, and it's that Texas lifestyle, that we talked about, right? I think people perceive that because, people can do a lot more with their money here, right?
Yeah. I think so. I think so.
You really don't have to be a millionaire to drive the big Boss Hog Cadillac with the horns on.
Yeah, but people are going to make fun of you if you do that. So,
No. That's how it is here. If you're out there and you're moving to Texas, the first thing you should do is sell your car, get you one of those big Cadillacs with the horns, and you need to
see that.
Roll into Texas, pull in your U-Haul trailer behind one of those.
Yeah, Coupe de Ville with Longhorns on it. Hey, I'll tell you what, that Longhorn stuff, that's no kidding around, because I moved 4 Longhorns. Was it last weekend or the weekend before? Anyway,
I think it was last weekend, yeah.
Anyway, no kidding around. Those Longhorns are legit, and I'm not going to try to cut their horns off while they're still alive. I'll just tell you that right now.
I don't know. The videos you sent me, it looked like Caroline was doing it all, so...
Well, she let him go.
Had your daughter.
She's pretty tough.
Those things are dangerous, honey. You go out there and do that for me, please.
You got that. Yeah, you got that. I was just filming.
Caroline's tough as a boot. She's tougher than I am. So
no. I did get. I had my poking stick when we were loading these 3 little baby Longhorns, and anyway, so here I am with two brand new knee replacements. So So I'm pretty fresh on whatever post-op recovery. But anyway, I get in here with these 3 little baby Longhorns, and when I say babies, they're not. I'm talking they're 400 pounds a piece, maybe. And they're 4.5 feet tall, and little baby Longhorns, so they're probably 4 inches long on each side, and so there's 3 of them in there together, and I got a big fence panel and my poking stick, and I was trying to push them in, and then they all freaked out into this trailer, and they all freaked out and turned on me, and then one of them hit my poking stick, and it jabbed back into me, and man, I've had the biggest bruise in the world for whatever. Anyway, so
and these are not yours, right?
No, they're just a buddy. No, they're just a buddies down the street, and then the next day I went back.
Why didn't he unload them?
He doesn't know how to. He doesn't know. I mean, neither do I.
He's just one of these rich cattle barons in Texas, right?
I guess so. He has people do that for him, literally. So,
namely you.
Well, and now it's us. And so I said, no, we've got a trailer. We'll come down and get them. And so we did. We got the three little ones one day. And the next day he said that the mama just kind of trapped herself in this corral, and he wanted her over here on the brother's land too. And so we went back, and I had all kinds of volunteers here for my kids, and they're all big, and they're swinging gates and whatnot. And getting in, but Caroline, she gets in there with me, and so anyway, as soon as we came up to the big mama, and she had, I'm talking the longhorns that are like 2.5 feet on each side, like big, and that was intimidating. She was full blast, huge, and but real docile, real sweet. So I get in there with her, and she, as soon as we just kind of walked toward her, she just kind of ran right into the trailer, and we just closed it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that was easy. But the three, the little ones, they freaked each other out. So that was bad. Anyway,
little hooligans.
Yeah, hooligan longhorns. So anyway,
all right.
Hey, thanks for, if you guys disagree and think that the myth is real, then please let us know. We can debate this.
Just put it in the comments below, wherever that might be on this channel.
Yeah, on this channel.
Nobody knows where the comments are. Supposedly we link all this stuff into the comments, all these resources.
Yeah. Somebody gave us a comment once, and I was clearly wrong about it, that it was a master's thesis guy doing his dissertation on the 1900 hurricane. I thought it was a 9th grader. I'm really sorry about that. But
no, he failed. So.
I would think so. Yeah, if he's using us for a reference, that's so sad. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yep, thanks for listening. Look us up. We're on all the channels out there. Leave us a review. Adios. Bye.
All right.